Welcome back, everybody. Daniel Barron Howe here to talk to you about today's question. How do I live in the Philippines without a passport or without a visa? Well, the short order of that is you got to have a passport to go anywhere in this world. A visa, you don't necessarily have to go everywhere in the world. And in Asia, that's really not necessary. However, you have to understand that when you come to a place like the Philippines, you're only allowed to stay here for 21 days, and then you got to get the hell out of the country. So how is it a lot of guys that are not giving up their citizenship and are not getting married and that type of thing, how are they living over here? Well, there's a little thing known to expats as the visa hop, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about what that's all about. I did a little bit of quick research to kind of find out what information was out there on living in the Philippines, and there's bits and pieces out there about what you need to do, what you don't need to do, what's real, what's not real, and I'm going to kind of try to sew all that together for you as somebody who's doing it himself. I've been here for a good long time. I'm not married. I'm not a citizenship holder. I'm still a member of the good old USA, but I have lived in the Philippines for a good long time. And I utilize a trick called the visa hop. Now, basically what that is there's guys that have been living over here for years and years and years that do this. And it may seem counterproductive and it may seem very expensive, but I'll step through this bit by bit here so you can understand what this is all about. When I came here, last time I was here, I showed up in October, and right now as I film this, it's just a couple days before Thanksgiving of the same year, and my visa has been extended by what I'm going to teach you how to do here until pretty much the end of the year. So you're allowed to kind of back up and explain this. You're kind of allowed to be here for 21 days. If you just come in on the 1st of January, you've got to be up and out of here by the 21st of January is what the basic statute says. However, if you are in the airport, you can divert your run through there and stop over at the customs office and say, hey, look, I'd like to stay a little bit longer. Now, where the first line of confusion comes is, do you have to have this extension set up before you get here, or don't you? It can be a little tricky. I won't lie to you because generally speaking, there's two schools of thought. Fix it when you get here, have an alternative plan before you do. Now, this is what I've opted to do. When I came here, when I decided to live here, what I did was I booked 2 flights. I booked a one-way ticket to come here, and that's the one that I got to live. Now, I booked another one, what I'll call a throwaway flight, just to get off the borders, out of the borders of the Philippines. And this is something I want to kind of bring to your attention too. You can travel all over Asia from here in Manila to Hong Kong for 99 bucks. Now, if you catch a promo fare, you can do it for 1 peso. If you go to Cebu Pacific Air, they're always putting on flight specials of one way or another. And sometimes if you know ahead of time that you need to get out of the country, you can kind of book that jump out and jump back for like pennies on the dollar. So let me kind of tie all this together for you here as best I can. So basically, getting back to step 1, I booked my flight into the Philippines. Let's say, for sake of explanation, I did this on January 1st. Now, I knew that January 21st I was going to have to get out of the country. Now, if I would have tried to come into the country without having a provable way that I'm going to leave the country, they're going to go, hey, Mr. Howe, we can't let you into the country without a whole lot of hassle because we're not sure you're not going to just hold over, hide out in the hills, and we're going to have to come and find you. They don't like that. They want to see that you have a route in and, most importantly, a route out within the 21 days. So here's what you do. You get your ticket into the country, and then you book a separate flight out, and I call it a junk flight. And basically what I did was I got on orbits.com, I booked my flight coming in on January 1st, and then I went ahead and I booked a second flight. You don't have to book a round trip because that gets goddamn expensive. So basically you're just going to get one of those little junk flights that's going to send you over to Hong Kong or something, because they don't care if you're coming back for Hong Kong. They just want you out of the borders. So that's what we call a throwaway flight. You never intend on doing that. You never intend on screwing with it. Just consider it a cost of doing business. If you're going to live over here, everything else is so cheap to live here. What do you care? So let me kind of walk you through the mechanics of this. So now when I come in and I hit the borders, I go through customs. I'm holding my ticket in, and I go through customs. I say, all right, Mr. How can you show me your ticket out? Yes, I can. Here it is. But hey, by the way, I really would like to stay extra time here. And they really, would you? Okay, well, why don't you step in this line and go over to customs, and then we'll see what they can do about extending that time. So now I'm holding my ticket out, that little jump to Hong Kong that I booked for $99 or maybe as cheap as $30 that I got on Cebu Pacific Air. So I go into customs and they say, well, how long would you like to stay extra time? And I said, well, as long as I possibly can. Now they'll extend you out like 90 days, which that's not too shabby. So that's what a lot of the expats do that live here. They just keep extending their time out 30 days, or they go from 30 days to 90 days. So every 90 days they have to do what's called a visa hop. They have to literally leave the country and come back. And to kind of explain that a little bit, effectively what you really need to do is just leave the country for a minute and then come right back, because really all the rule is saying is you got to leave the country. Now you could literally do it this way if you want to, and I've done it multiple times. So I booked a round trip to Hong Kong from Manila, where literally I'll get on Cebu Pacific Air, I'll go to Hong Kong, sit in the airport for like an hour, turn around, come back, start another 90 days. And I know it's a huge pain in the ass, but it's really not. If you turn them into little mini vacations, I mean, how often do you get a chance to go to an exotic country for $99? I mean, you can go to Singapore, you can go to Thailand, you can go to Korea, you can go to Hong Kong, you can go to all those places for, 30, 40, 50 bucks, $100 at the most from Manila. So there's always something to do and there's always some place to go. But bottom line, if you just want to leave the country and hop back in, you're cool. So effectively what I've done now is I've gone into customs and they say, okay, well, if you'd like to extend it, they'll extend your thing. Now that ticket that you got, you can, if you didn't buy it on special, you can go ahead and cancel that flight and put that money towards the real flight where you will have to leave the country in 90 days. Or if you buy it on promo through Cebu Pacific Air, you might as well just tear it up because they won't give you your money back. So that's kind of the cost of doing business. You might book a $40 cheapy flight that you never intend on using, but because it's a promo fare, you're not going to get your money back and you can't change. So just rip it up, throw it away, and just consider it the cost of doing business. No big deal. So to kind of tie all this together, basically, in order to live in the Philippines without marrying a Filipina, without renouncing your citizenship and getting full-bore citizenship here, which I don't recommend. I don't think there's any reason you need to. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to book junk flights every 90 days. You're going to do a visa hop out, and you're going to come back, and you can go for years and years and years. Now, this does bear mention of one thing. When you're carrying a passport, I made the terrible, terrible mistake years ago. When I got my first passport, they ask you, do you want a passport with 23 pages in it or something like 55 pages in it? And I, not realizing that there was no price difference, opted for the smaller one, thinking I was saving some money. Big mistake, because what I have to do now is I had to go back and get extra pages for my passport, because you do have to realize every time you jump out, stamp, they're going to keep filling that book, and sooner or later you're going to run out of pages. Then you got to deal with that. So the longer you can push that off, the better. Now, this also does bear mention that if you do need the U.S. Embassy, if you are a United States citizen, you do need to have some sort of talk with the U.S. Embassy. I actually stay at a hotel called City State Hotel, and that's at 1315 Mabini Street in Armida. That's 2 blocks right within walking distance. You can Google map it. It's City State Hotel, 1315 Armida is the city that it's at, 1315 Mabini Street in Armida. And if you stay there, they'll treat you good. Good folks there. We bring all of our Island Love Match customers in there. When we have our seminars, that's where we host our seminars, and our get-togethers and our meetups are held right at City State Hotel. So if you want to join us, be sure to do that. Join me at my blog, join me at my website, islandlovematch.com, and let me teach you a little bit more about living in the Philippines. Once again, my name is Daniel Baron Howe. Thanks for joining me.